very well today. I welcome all of you today for this Principal Conference 2023, not 2020, and the way forward.
Time, and you can always speak to the speakers. Because of the paucity of time, we don't want to bring you in and keep you in for the whole day. So we have limited the number of speakers, we have limited the number of minutes per speaker as well, and even the panel discussion is going to be a very short, brief understanding of how NEP applies to their space. So here I am very happy to tell you that when we were inviting our speakers, it's like serendipity and things fell into place very nicely. We wanted to invite, of course, Dr. Bhavani Shankar as a keynote address. We know of him for a long time. In my own training career, I have gone several times to Lalaji School, and I've seen the way it has grown exponentially, and this is due to leadership. So leadership makes all that difference. The second person whom we spoke to immediately was Dr. Srinivasa Raghavan, and we're very happy to speak to him because we know that he's been running this august institution which has several principles very highly into place. So when you have an institution which already has a school culture, how do you bring in something new, like if you're looking for a change, a transformation, reimagine your schools? So it's going to be very interesting to talk to him as well. And we have our panel speakers. What we have done is we've tried to bring in a cross-section. We have learning difficulties, we have Lalita ma'am here, Mrs. Lalita Raunijam from Alpha to Omega Learning Difficulties. She is a pioneer. She is our Mata Devi for learning difficulties. Anybody will go to her only first because we know how many years ago she started and she is pioneer in this area. And regarding workshops, they've had instrument enrichment workshop. These are important because we know that our cross-section of students have always children with learning difficulties. We cannot ignore this section. So we are very happy to welcome her as well. Our inaugural address today, we have Bhanu Shankar, Dr. Bhanu Shankar. She's a close friend. I can take that liberty and say Bhanu because this is the other end of the spectrum. If we are talking about learning difficulties, then we are talking about progressive schooling. How can we also deal with those students who are too smart and they can learn on their own? How are we going to bring in personalized learning? So this is something again different, and we'd like to hear their view as well. And we come to our inaugural address. I must confess over here, it's a stroke of luck. We spoke to Dr. Sharanya Kumar, and we said we will speak to a psychologist, and I saw a review and I saw so many very nice opinions of parents saying that she had solved so many problems, and I was so happy to call her because counseling is a big part of our schools. We can't avoid that reality. Regardless of what the policy is, on the ground level we have our students. So I was so happy to invite her, and here is the surprise. She is the advisor to the government, and she is implementing NEP policy on the ground level. So who better to speak about it than to speak about it, exactly about how NEP can be implemented on the ground. So this is a very interesting day that we're going to have. Neither can I call it a conference nor a workshop, because it's going to be an exchange of ideas, and I'm going to be very happy to hear everybody's take on this. I'm sure you will also like to exchange your ideas at this point. The format we are following is we're going to ask Dr. Sharanya to give us her inaugural address. After that is over, we will invite the panel speakers. The moderator will first speak, and he will give us a little bit about his views on NEP. This is a free-flow discussion. We don't have a specific topic. Our topic is the way forward. The way forward can be any way that you like regarding your institution, and that is what we are talking about. And we have 4 panel speakers as well. After the panel speakers speak, the moderator will again do a summing up, or whichever way he would like to call it. At the end, we will have our keynote address by Dr. Bhavani Shankar. He's got a bit delayed. He's just not come in as yet. By the time we start our panel discussion, he should be reaching over here. I welcome many august principals over here, so many over here. Thank you so much for coming today. And if I haven't met up with you personally, after when we go in for lunch, definitely I would like to meet up with each and every person. So thank you very much. To tell you a little bit about Ikigai'Ken Foundation, I'm just going to take 2 minutes of your time just to tell you a little bit about Ikigai'Ken Foundation. We started this during Corona times. Our mission is to bring a change about in education. We started with teacher training because we knew we could do it in Corona times. We used online setup. After that, we went on to set up several curriculum changes. For example, in early childhood, can we bring a new kind of curriculum? For example, bringing proficiency in English. How can we do this? So bringing about this change through curriculum, and that is what we've been looking at. To our surprise, good to see you, doctor. To our surprise, we found that most of the topics that we had already listed were what were told by the NEP 2020. It was exactly the same. So that was another good surprise for us. Okay, so now I'm going to speak about Ikigai'Ken a little later, and I'm going to invite Dr. Sharanya to come and give us her inaugural address. Welcome, Dr. Bhavani Shankar, our keynote speaker. Good morning.
Dr. Sharanya T. Jayakumar. She's one of the first doctorates in education psychology in India and consultant education psychologist. She is an independent expert for many schools and colleges. She was known as former member of Tamil Nadu Commission for Protection of Child Rights, and she is an advisor to American international schools and colleges. She is a visiting faculty at Western and NITTR Chennai. She is a private psychological well-being practitioner, specialist in children and adolescent psychology, and cognitive behavior therapist. She is an amazing motivational speaker at schools, colleges, and many public events. Her articles and videos are frequently published in the top magazines, newspapers, TVs, and YouTube channels. I welcome Dr. Sharanyati Jayakumar on stage.
Thank you for that introduction. Very, very good morning to each one of you. Thank you, sir. Neenga mattuda sathama sollirukeenga. Can I hear a brighter good morning from everybody, please? Good morning. See, we're all principals, educationists, so we'll have to be loud always, isn't it? We need that voice. Whether we like it or not, we have to be loud. Yes. Thank you for that lovely introduction. Yes, I was serving a member of the Tamil Nadu State Commission for Protection of Child Rights. Before that, I was also director of one of the top leading engineering colleges in Chennai, and I was in touch with many school owners. But when I was in the commission, I had no choice but to question school owners. So I was like a nightmare for so many people out there. But now I'm the implementation authority for the National Education Policy in the South, advisor to Government of India, Ministry of Women and Child Development, and the Department of School Education. So why NEP was a question always, and that question was very common in Tamil Nadu. Yes, whenever I talk about NEP, they say no. We have our own policy, we are designing our own policy. But why NEP came in the first place? I was part of the team that actually planned the design of NEP at the earliest stages. Why? Because children have evolved. How many of you agree with that? Yes, they have. Why have children evolved? One main reason for why have children evolved, can anyone tell me here?
I think every subsequent generation is more intelligent than the previous, is what brains are going to say.
See, the one thing I'll have to tell here is, their entertainment has evolved. Yes, they spend a lot of time with entertainment than with family. Obviously, they will evolve. Their thinking, their cognitions is all different. Yes or no? Like how we used to watch cartoons. You and I, all of us used to watch cartoons when we were young, different stages. I used to watch Tom and Jerry. There are a few people who used to watch Mickey Mouse. Yes, today cartoon has become very fast, very noisy, very flashy, and extremely colorful. Violent, sexual content, what not. There are certain things that I really can't talk on public forum. There is so much of sexual content in YouTube Kids, in videos being posted on YouTube Kids. Recently, I had a family who came and said, my son is addicted to porn. And then when I got back to the root, this boy has been saying, what is this, Naruto related videos. Okay, and this is like these Japanese sort of cartoon videos. And then inside those videos there's a lot of sexual content and the boy is exposed to that. It's still cartoon-like porn content. So we never know how it gets, okay, with each day. But I have to say that entertainment has evolved largely and the way children play has changed. We used to go and play with friends. That was no structured play, no playing for competitions. We just played with friends. But today, even if they go to a cricket class or football class, it is only getting prepared for a competition. Where is that unstructured play? It's still missing. So what happens with children when their entertainment is different, when the way they play is different, the way they think, they behave differently. And that way, if we still stick to the olden ways of teaching, it's just not going to happen. My daughters go to a Montessori school. Yes, they follow Maria Montessori's things, but how much of efforts as parents we have to put to keep the children, look like they're brought up in the 70s and 80s. But for some reason we get used to it over a time as Montessori parents. That's not the case in private schools and other private schools. Even in government schools today, they have smart classrooms. every middle school in Tamil Nadu is given a smart classroom funded by Samagra Shiksha and the Department of School Education, Tamil Nadu. There is, a screen and a smart class and all of that. Training to the teachers under progress. It's just happening. The implementation of NEP is just not going to happen over like 1 year. No. States like Assam, Karnataka, Maharashtra have all started about 1.5 years back. And I think that way Tamil Nadu is still a little slow in implementation of NEP. Yeah. Key points, if we understand, we all know 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Yes? Yes? Yes. So in that 5, the first 3 years in government schools it's going to be no LKG, UKG, only Anganwadis. How is it in private schools? Pre-KG, LKG, UKG. So pretty much NEP says when they finish schooling they have to be 18 years old. That is the international norms. That is how it's going to be. So all the schools automatically they are changing the age pattern of children getting into the school and how they are moving to the next class. This academic year, if you see, almost about 10% of schools in Tamil Nadu have retained their children in elementary, not sending them to class 7 because they have to match with NEP when they finish schooling. This is what is happening, yeah. And I have to say, there are so many people who say NEP is forcing to study Hindi. Yes or no? People who actually read the document fully will know that it's not forcing any language for that matter. NEP very clearly says regional language at the foundation level. Teach in the regional language. How many of you agree with the fact that almost 70% of children in private schools, especially the younger generation alpha, as we say, born after 2011 and later, do not watch Tamil entertainment. They stick to only English songs, English series, English movies. Okay, all that is fine, but where is the mother tongue? When there is an argument at home, there is only English. I don't say it's bad, but over a period they will lose touch with the mother tongue in their own country. NEP says no to this, and that's why they say please teach in the regional language. That touch with the regional language with the mother tongue has to be there. And then when they go to class 6, 7, 8, they learn another Indian language. That can be Hindi, that can be Malayalam, that can be Telugu, that can be anything of their choice. That can be a neighboring language also. And then when they move to 9, 10, 11, 12, one foreign language is a must. And that foreign language, they don't say Mandarin is must because we have some problems in the East. So Mandarin, except Mandarin, any other foreign language we have to learn. See, because economically when you see India is growing really, really fast. Not because I'm an advisor to government of India, that is why I'm telling this no. I recently had a cousin of mine who came from Australia. Okay, she's in Sydney for like about 5-6 years now. So when she came to India, she's like, Akka, what are you all doing? பூக்காரிட்ட போறீங்க phone எடுத்து pay பண்றீங்க கடைக்கு போறீங்க phone எடுத்து pay பண்றீங்க I said, no, you don't know GPay, you don't know Paytm, phone pay and all. She said, no, we don't have all this in Australia. India looks so different to me. She's coming after COVID. She says, India looks so different to me now. You know, going to exhibitions, spending a lot of money, going on vacations, look at the roads. See, sometimes I feel நம்ம இங்கே இருக்கிறதுனால ஒண்ணு பெருசா தெரியல. But வெளியில இருந்து when somebody comes, they really, my cousins, I have 14 cousins, all of them left the country for jobs outside. I'm the only one who's too patriotic to stay here, and they come back to say, India பரவாயில்ல நல்லா தான் இருக்கு. That way, education is also actually growing super fast here. One information that I will give you, Government of Tamil Nadu now has something called model schools. Anybody know about model schools? Yes. In each district, we have model schools. You won't believe I visited like so many model schools with residential facilities it's having. it's going to be expanded to many more schools in each district. We have very good, passionate teachers working in these small schools, and I train them on psychology. I have an academy that trains teachers on handling students, having the child psychology aspect in mind. So I train these teachers with APA content, with American Psychological Association's content, so they handle children better, and then their career guidance can be done in a better way. So that's the basic idea. So for that, when I spoke to these teachers, there used to be a time when people never used to be too happy to work in government organizations. என்னதான் government teacher இருந்தாலும் புலம்பிட்டே இருப்பாங்க, என்னது வேலை, எனக்கு extra வேலை, இது வேலை, அது வேலை. But now the scenario is so different because post-COVID, you see these tier 3 schools, these private schools, they could not run the schools. They had to shut down. So all these children moved to government schools. Government school strength is increased by another 18% now. In fact, they have to start hiring more teachers in Tirunelveli and all government school. There are about 65 students in a class. Engalke ko kashthama irukku handle pandradhukku, but we have no choice. We have to keep them there. They're just there and they're still working, okay? And talking about quality of government schools, I should say the first generation graduates are then, or first time graduates, and the first graduates in the family, children who've come from poverty, children who've come from lower caste backgrounds, who've been not treated so well by the community, children who faced abuse, இந்த குழந்தைகள்கிட்ட இருக்கிற வேகத்தை வந்து யாராலையும் தடுக்க முடியாது. They have one fire within them that is extremely good. You don't have to give too much efforts to teach them. That is already there in government school. The biggest challenge for private school owners is this. எவ்வளவுதான் motivate பண்ணாலும் that motivation to learn and do something in life is எப்படி பார்த்தாலும் lesser in private schools. My father's business is there. As if father is keeping the cupboard open and asking them to come and sit and take care of the business. No. Somewhere the value of money, somewhere I want to do something in life is still missing in majority of the private school students, which is easily there in government school. I'll give you one quick example. When ISRO was working with Chandrayaan-2, Chandrayaan-2 was a success or failure? Tell me. Success.
What is the context of success?
Good question. Okay, according to the public, Chandrayaan-2, success or failure? So science says everything is success, everything is learning. Wherever we missed, we have to learn from there. When they started work with Chandrayaan, they gave an announcement in the newspaper. They said, நிலாவுல இருக்கிற மண்ணு வந்து has these salts. So we need samples of salts from your place that actually matches this. Okay, this same salt combination, the same chemical composition. So 3 boys from Namakkal district government school, they saw this newspaper advertisement and then they chumma took some samples of sand from a little pond near their house and then avangaloda labla eduthu poi the simple salt test that children do in 12th standard, they did this and they said it looks like it's matching, so why don't we send these samples to ISRO? And these 3 boys from government school Namakkal, you won't believe, sent the samples to ISRO and it was a 97% match. நாமக்கல்ல இருக்க மண்ணோ நிலாவுல இருக்கிற மண்ணோ 97% match. These 3 boys were invited to ISRO for an internship and they're still working there. They're working with Chandrayaan. They finished their education. Now they're working there in Chandrayaan-3. See, opportunity are coming from எங்கிருந்தாமோ வருது. Where it's coming from, we won't know. It's going to government school children only, private school children only? No. We think private school children are given all the opportunities, but are they really making use of the opportunities is still a question mark, isn't it? So NEP now says, stop rote learning. because children are not able to memorize these days. You go and ask your 12th standard students, 11th standard students, what is your biggest problem? They'll say, "Padikkaradu edume ஞாபகத்துல irukka மாட்டேங்குது. I'm studying, but then I go to exam the next day, I'm forgetting everything because increase in screen entertainment will only increase usage of short-term memory, long-term memory usage is reduced. Automatically, whatever they study is only getting into their short-term memory. When they go and try to replicate it in the exam, it's just not happening. They are not able to memorize. Memorizing capacity used to be a time we used to remember 100 landline numbers. Now are we able to do? As adults, our memory is going down. As children, their memorizing capacity is going down. The only way is to make improvements in pedagogy. Pedagogy, according to NEP, has to be entertaining, has to be involving those children in whatever they are wanting to do, and then it has to be progressive also. It cannot be the same old ways. It's just not going to happen. Yeah, and also quickly NEP talks about skill-based learning. I used to head training and placement at the Satyabama group until 2015. So when I was there, I remember even then I studied there, it used to be companies who used to come and say, I want 100 EC students, 150 IT students. That's how it used to be. But now it's different. Now they come and say, we want 100 students who can work with Python. Whether they've completed the degree, I don't bother. Whether they belong to whichever department, I don't care. All that I want is that they have the skill set. So we always say develop the skill set, and that is very important. If you've heard about Zoho schools, Zoho schools is now going and recruiting in schools. Yeah, in schools. They don't want degree at all. My family runs 11 engineering colleges and I don't know where I'm going to go. But they're going back to schools and they are telling, engalukku school education podum. I will take them, I will give them salary, I will train them on coding or testing or whatever, and I will keep them there. And children are also very happy, especially when they come from very poor backgrounds. Nobody is able to spend 10 lakhs on a UG degree. So they are happy. So immediately after 12, they're going into a job. That is why NEP says 18 plus. You understand? They're 18, they will start going into things like this. Yesterday I had a meeting with Saint Gobain. Saint Gobain is going to do the same thing. They're going to start recruiting from schools. And then they're going to train them on window fitting and glass cabin fitting for 2 years as a diploma course and then give them a job. It's going to become that fast. There used to be a time when people used to start earning at 24 years. Then it became 22, 21, 20. It's going to become 19 in future. So schools have to teach skills. You have no other choice. Whatever is required for a job, schools only have to teach, and that is why we have Bagdas days in NEP, and then we say bring in people to talk to children so they get exposed to the different types of opportunities available, different types of professions available. See, I believe school is a smaller version of the society that the child is going to live in. There has to be different types of children, different types as in I mean different personalities of children, children with differently abled children, children from different backgrounds, different castes. They have to learn to live with all of them together. They have to learn to mingle, and that is what education is about. Not just learning from the book, getting first rank. I was always a first rank holder. When I got my first failure in my psychology degree, one paper failed. PPYZ, Madras University, I could not take it. I went into depression for 3 months because I was always a first rank holder, always a scholarship holder. எனக்கு தாங்கவே முடியல அது. That should not happen. I feel in schools, teach children to fail. Teach children to, we say, ஒரே பெஞ்ச்ல எப்ப பார்த்தாலும் உட்கார வைக்காதீங்க. Friends எல்லாம் மாத்தி உட்காருவாங்க. You don't get to be with friends forever in life. No, we respect your friendship, but you also have to learn to make friends with the other children. You have to, learn to let go of that comfort zone and come out of that comfort zone and make friends with others. See, all this has to be psychologically, during implementation, we include all of this in NEP, inclusive education, skill-based learning. Today, I think more than students, teachers are the most stressed ones. When I go to school for students counseling, teachers will come, madam, engalukku first kudunga. We only want, and then the management comes and say, "You teachers outtalanga, madam, engalukku kudunga for us only." Then comes the principal, madam. Think about me. Management is taking money and going. Teachers getting salary. I am also getting paid. But every time, no, when I was in the commission, every time something goes wrong in the school, first person I'll go and catch the neck is the principal. Principal say, I'm not the decision maker, madam. I am only bomme here. Please understand. But I say it's very difficult to be a principal or a teacher in today's world. That difficulty should not be there in future. Because when teachers are stressed, when the principal is stressed, how will that be a happy place to study for children? Isn't it? They show their frustration on the kids show their frustration back. Today, children find happiness in school more than families, I must say. All mother and father fighting. Happiness is only there in the school. Yes, otherwise only inside the phone. For children, it's become like that, isn't it? So, I think what Ikigai is doing in terms of teacher training is so very important. Training teachers, preparing them for NEP or preparing them for whatever is going to happen in the future in the field of education is so very important. And as I told you, multilingualism is something that NEP focuses on. We have to teach children. There are so many children who are very keen in learning Korean these days. Because of these weird Korean series and BTS, I have a bunch of girls wherever I go, they say, ma'am, you know Korean. Do you know Tamil? No. We know only Korean. So NEP says, please give importance to your regional language first, another national language second, and then any international language. It can be French, it can be any international language. Some people do certification in English itself, they say. That is also considered okay. Yeah, but anyhow, when we start implementing NEP, we will see the differences in the children, in the environment of the school itself. It will become a little more positive, because I feel only when children are protected, only when children are happy today, we will have a good future. The future of India is in the hands of children? No, it's in the hands of educationalists like you and me. Yeah, so let us understand that, and I think thank you very much for this opportunity to speak. I'm generally, I told you, an NEP trainer. I train government schools and the Department of School Education of all states on NEP, and my sessions go on for 4 hours and 4.5 hours. I don't have the time now. So quickly, I thought I will share a little few points which I thought are key points, but beware. Government schools are really bracing up. They have a lot of funds because they already have a bunch of children who are ready to study. So for them, the work is easier. The only problem is they don't have the infrastructure. When they get the infrastructure, they're all going to be tough competitors to you. Yeah, especially at the national level. They get really tough competition in Delhi and other places. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to me patiently for this lovely opportunity. Thank you. Please take my number. Anything related to NEP, anything related to psychology, you can always get in touch with me. 93818 111 Dr. Sharanya Jaikumar. Thank you so much. Thank you. 93818 111. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this wonderful speech. And now Mrs. Bhatma will give us more speech about Mrs. Shanti Venkat.
I'm just here for a brief introduction about Mrs. Shanti Venkat. I wanted to just thank her for coming in. One of our panel speakers that we shared with in our conference invite, Dr. K.R. Malti, was unable to be with us. She had a last-minute problem, emergency. And Mrs. Shanti Venkat very kindly consented to come here. I just wanted to mention, we will just read out an introduction. She is here today as the CEO and principal for the Surana International School, which is opening up at Besant Nagar. And I'm so happy. She'll tell us a little bit about how they plan to implement it as well. We'll first ask Dr. Srinivas Raghavan to come in as moderator, and we will ask him to speak about the NEP. Before that, you will just read up the profiles of the speakers, the panel speakers. She'll read out your profile also, sir.
So Dr. R. Srinivas Raghavan is a visionary leader and an educator with 27 years of experience in teaching and also training the teachers, transforming school culture and implementing effective educational program. He holds a doctoral degree in physics. He is extremely passionate towards his career and has worked effortlessly transforming schools into a financially stable and academically sound institution. Empowering teachers and encouraging parents to engage in the parental involvement has been an extra responsibility in his shoulder all these years. He has worked for the Indian Academy, Muscat, as a counselor, and also he has worked as an academic counselor in the Glory Institute, Muscat. He was a professor of physics in Modern College of Arts and Science, Muscat, and presently he is the principal of the very well-known Bala Vidya Mandir. And he has been working and involved students in fundraising initiatives to provide treatments for cancer, cataract eye surgery, art surgery for underprivileged people, which led to raising funds to the tune of 50 lakhs through crowdfunding. Involve students to promote care for animals by working with Blue Cross and Elephant Care Facility at Kurumbaram. Involve students and parents to protect and serve greenery by going over 2,500 tree samplings over a period of 2 years. He has also indicated Global Rhythms musical choir under the guidance of Mr. A.R. Rahman through LEAP Foundation. Successfully implemented life-oriented education in Bala Vidya Mandir, initiated and implemented young entrepreneur program for students from class 6.
Good morning, and thank you for the introduction. And my dear friends, it's a wonderful day where we throw our thoughts on NEP. In my opinion, we went from localization to globalization, and again we are coming back to localization. Okay? So we are using all these kind of jargons to move from X to Y to Z, like how the fashion is changing from time to time. Exactly, we are coming back to the same arena. Okay? Skill-based. India is known for that. Okay? If you see the history, India is known for the skill. That is why we brought in mastery. Okay? No culture has proved to this extent. Today, Times of India, if you see that, they found a copper plate with Deva. Thiruvasan. இந்த மாதிரி ஒன்று வருது. இதெல்லாம் எல்லாமே எக்ஸிஸ்டன்ஸ் இருந்திருக்கு. But somewhere in the phase of modernity or all these things, we quietly phased it out. And we are rediscovering in a different way. The entire world is focusing on their national development. Now the whole world, the country is planning, the planning commission of every country is focusing on national development to not global development. We are also part of it. NEP's crux is basically on the global national development. We need to cater for our people. We need to manage our resources. For that, we need to equip our children. We have categorically spoiled the nature. Systematically we collapsed. Now we are talking about the green sustainability, SDG, all these things. We are the creator, we are the destroyer. So NEP is throwing a light or giving us focus. I would rather say that it is giving us focus. Come on, let's all work together and understand what we need. Should we exist or should we become extinct? When I say not human being, every form of life. Should we exist or should we become extinct? So the focus of NEP should be toward that direction. And that's an attempt what government is framing rules and other things what we are talking about. Okay? So skill education is very important. And the skill has to be as per the requirement. For that, are we prepared? That's a big question. How many of us are really prepared to give that skill? Are we skilled enough to give that skill? First of all, I should know the skill. And only I can impart. Do we have? That's the question we all should ask at this point of time. Do we have the skill more than what is expected of children 10 years down the line? Are we here to equip ourselves? Are we equipping ourselves as adults? Transforming ourselves? So first level of transformation should happen with all the adults who are dealing with the children. Then only we can think of migrating our thoughts to the next generation or the present younger generation. Okay, so that's what. And when we made an attempt in 2015 with certain small principle policies that transformed. Maybe I was actually doing it in Balavidya Mandir, trying with Balavidya Mandir. When we had lack of funds, honestly speaking, I am speaking truth. Okay, the school went through a rough time. No money to run the school. That's the stage where I was in. Instead of asking the money to parents, you raise the fees and give, I have done the school. Instead of asking directly only the money, we proposed a plan. Look here, we will give you some sort of curriculum. Since we are doing that, we need funds. This will help the school to survive. I don't ask you money just like that. In return, I am giving you something like this, and hence you hike the fee. That was a proposal which I thought at that point of time. We introduced culinary. We introduced entrepreneur skills. Not with an intention to make the children as entrepreneurs. Please understand what is entrepreneur. Either you do business or you be a part of the business. We are all in the part of the business. We may not be the owner running the school, but we are in the part of the business. Correct? Any job you do, you are a part of the business. We are a part of the business. Correct? Hospital is a part of the business. School is a part of the business. Other sales is also a part of the business. So, when I proposed all these things, handyman, one project, few periods were allotted for a handyman. What is handyman? Basic plumbing. I have set up a unit there. That unit will not have peri things. Veetla, closet mele flush tank, leak asina enna pannuvom. How do we repair? How do you understand? There is science in it. There is finance in it. There is skill in it. We call somebody and he will charge 400 rupees. After 400 calls nowadays, after 400 calls only, they are better than CM, PM, you and me. Okay, after 400 calls, he will come. Correct? So this is the situation where we are in. And he will change the unit and you will pay happily 500 rupees for the parts, 500 rupees for the labor and 500 for phone call. Maybe. Okay. But to be truthful, it costs 2 rupees for changing the washer, which is the cost for leakage. It just costs 2 rupees. In the nearby hardware, which you can change, your 4th standard child can change anything. But how many of us have paid attention to see that? When I was young, I have seen that. Puruma, neenga solreenga, psychologist, quick, fast world mobile. Who is training them? Who has made the children addict? It's you and me. Let's not alienate ourselves from this problem. We are the source, we are the creator.
Many adults are also addicted.
Yes, true. Adults first, child second. Okay? We are the first mover, they are the first follower. Okay? Right. So, when I brought all these things, parents fought with me. 2-3 days we had in the evenings, 2 hours, 3 hours of meeting, like a big congregation of parents, 200, 300 parents. I am not sending my child to become a plumber. I don't want to do business, this, that. What business? I don't talk about St. Reuben or TVs or this or that. I can talk about business in a small scale. Tea shop, when you make vada, how much you invest, how much. That's all is level of the children. We can't speak big languages to them, correct? I don't want that, all these things. After 3 days of discussion, I told, okay, 3 days, 9 hours you have spoken, now let me speak for 9 minutes. Please listen. Let us try for some time. Let's make an attempt and try. It may be failure. I accept. But after attempting, let us fail. Never say that it will be a failure before attempting. You won't believe. Today my parents are very proud. That 6 years, 7 years back it was introduced. Some skills, if not all. They feel, and I cannot now, nobody can remove that. Kindly add, kindly add. What is coming this year new? What skill are you going to add this year new? No deletion, it's only addition. The mindset. It's about the mindset. But that 9 hours of pain that I withstood in addressing 300, 400 parents, taking all the bullets, biting the bullet. I didn't bite, I received the bullet. But I have chosen not to die. Okay? It's our choice. Okay? You are free to do what you want, but you are not free from the consequences. Khalil Gibran's statement. So, NEP, today we are exactly in the same situation. Something is kept on our table, 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, all these things, we know mathematics. We are not talking about 5 plus 3, how to add. How to add something to that 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 is what we have to do. So for that, changing the mindset. I think our priority is not about the content of the NEP. It is our effort to make others understand and make them sync with the thought process. This is what is my thought about NEP. We all know the breakdown of NEP guidelines and the courses, this many number of courses, we have all these things we don't need to address. But what is really important is, how do I attack your mind? How do I attack my mind? First is my mind, then your mind, then parents' mind. And when all these things are attacked, children will have no other alternative. Today, every child is put into Baiju's class, Fitji's class from 3rd, 4th, 5th. Where is NEP connected to that? I am putting straight question to the government that how this NEP is impacting that particular zone, which is distracting from the very concept of NEP. These are the questions that we need to ask as leaders. We need to go open to the government. Okay? These are all distractors. While your thought process is fine, but there are distractors. Unless you arrest the distractors, this will be flop. Okay? So thank you so much for patiently listening. I am not going to go into the depth of NEP at this point of time. I invite everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. No, sir. I just invite the speakers and then you can start.
Thank you, sir, so much. So the next speaker will be Ms. Shanti Venkat. Okay. Okay. So I invite all the speakers on stage.
So many years, I can't stay on. Come. She'll just read out the introduction to you. Then you can read out all the introductions. Please. He will be the keynote.
So Ms. Shanti Venkat, inspiring CEO of Surana iTech International School. As a passionate classic dancer, Ms. Shanti understands the power of creating and performing arts in unlocking a student's full potential. Her journey in education began as a teacher at Air Force School, Baroda in 2000, and she has held various administrative positions in different schools across in India. With over 22 years of experience in education, she brings a wealth of knowledge and a fresh perspective to the table. Coming from a defense background, she has been exposed to different languages, cultures, and school systems, making her an invaluable asset to Surana iTech International School. With a postgraduate degree in English and a CELTA certification from the British Council, New Delhi. We welcome you, ma'am.
A very happy morning to everyone present here. Thank you very much for this introduction and this opportunity. Yes, as Ms. Padmama said, I was called here on very short notice. So I feel really humbled to be standing here in front of so many eminent speakers. I hope I do justice to this invite. Dr. Srinivas Rao, I had a short interaction with him earlier, and I'm a product of Kalakshetra. I was born part of Chennai and a product of Kalakshetra, which is in news unfortunately for wrong reasons now. But yes, I'm a very proud alumni of Kalakshetra, and I owe all my upbringing to the school. So BVM is one of the schools I've always been looking up to, and I've always wanted to be a part of. But as Dr. Sharanya said, opportunities knock at different ends, and you just grab what you get. Sir, I'm very glad to see has been replaced with NEP 220. I think it is a strong foundation that has been laid in the field of education today, with a multidisciplinary approach. I think NEP has promoted holistic, inclusive, futuristic learning, laying emphasis on critical thinking, inquiry-based learning, and multilingualism as 21st century skills. Now, I head the Surana iTech International School, as the introduction said, as the CEO. So we are looking at a hybrid model, which is primarily we will be following an IB curriculum, and we move on to a Cambridge lower secondary and IGCSE at the middle school level, and then we move to a diploma program. So we looked at a hybrid model basically for two reasons. One is to get the best of both the international curriculums. That was one. And when we set up the school, we did a lot of research on international curriculums in IB and IGCSE. We traveled a lot, and we realized that the Indian parents want a lot of exam rigor also along with whatever we give them, So, even when you give them the skill set, it also, it comes down to, the board exams, the NEET, the FIGI. So we thought at the primary level, if you can build up the skill set and move to a little exam rigor at the middle school level, it would be good to use the best practices of both the international curriculums. Now, going by the NEP, we find that there's a lot of overlapping policies which, agrees with IB and IGCSE as well. To start with the grade and the structure. The 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, dismantling the 10 plus 2 pattern. So the NEP has gone into the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Now that's very similar to the, foundational stage, preparatory stage, the middle school level, and the secondary level in IB and IGCSE. I think that's a very good overlap, and we are in the right lines at the IB and IGCSE also. So assessments, again, which is a major part of any education policies. I think NEP 2020 has moved towards, assessing the conceptual clarity rather than, year-end exams and memorization and rote learning. So I think IB and international school also focuses on the process of learning rather than the end product as such. So that's another overlap that we have with NEP. So, and about the curriculum and pedagogy, if you remember in our times, we could strictly say that, we either took a science stream or a commerce stream, probably an art stream, if you didn't do very well. That was the trend earlier, 20 years back. Even when I come back to Chennai after traveling all over India, I still feel, parents pressurizing the students to do science till 12th and then branch out. There is a famous one-liner which I often say, children in India do engineering and then think what to do as career. So, I think that is slowly changing now. So now you can choose math, artificial intelligence, or design thinking all at the same time, which is very similar to what IGCSE or IB offers with the 50+ subjects to opt for. And then language and communications. I think both NEP and the international curriculum lays an emphasis on thinking and creative thinking and skills. So, you have the right to express yourself in the way, in form of an art, dance, music. So I think this creates a huge love for learning. And also a lot of exposure is given to different culture, traditions, customs, which, builds about a gender identity. You're very, very well informed and aware at the school level itself. So I think we using the NEP policies in our school and going forward with the project-based learning, I think we have a lot to look forward to. We're launching this June 2023 with a K to grade 7 curriculum at Besan Nagar. I would request all of you to come and visit our school and see see our vision and what we have to do. We have been guided by Dr. Bhavani Shankar here on our curriculum and how to go about the international education. So yeah, so I think the way forward for NEP 2020 is to go with the flow and break the rote learning and memorization and look at conceptual understanding and learning. Thank you very much. I would like to hand over to the other speakers to speak about NEP. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So next is Mr. Niti Srinivasan. He is a well-known K-12 professional with extensive experience in establishing new schools and managing large chain schools. Most recently, as CEO of Ryan International Group of Institution, he oversaw the operations of the group's 145+ schools. He has conceptual and successfully implemented systems to build and manage cost-effective models of growth and teaching learning processes. In the past, he successfully led organizations in the technology space. Currently, he advises schools and edtech companies. Niti sir completed his BTech from MS University, Baroda, and went on to do his MBA from XLRI, Jamshedpur. He is a Six Sigma black belt, and recently he obtained his certificate in school leadership and management from the Harvard Graduate School of Education.
Oh, no, I think I is all right. Thank you so much. Yeah. Reading my bio, I was impressed with myself. Seriously, I'm not, I'm a pretty ordinary guy. And Sharanya ma'am spoke a little bit about long-term memory and short-term memory. And at my age, I've lost both short-term and long-term. Okay, so I'll use what we spoke about a lot, saying the mobile phone. I'll have to make use of it. All of us have been in leadership roles in schools for quite some time. And NEP has been spoken about since, I think, 2019 onwards, right? And it's a long time in the making. So all of you are, I'm sure, are familiar with the salient points of what NEP is and all those things. So no point repeating stuff. And Sharanya ma'am, of course, gave a fabulous capsule of what NEP is all about. I just want to share a few things which I think affect us as a nation. And obviously, I'm talking about it from the perspective of education. Anecdotally, I was involved with teaching some kids near Bangalore who come from, economically relatively weaker sections. And it was shocking of what had happened. And we were trying to cover up through the Rotary Club, doing some programs to cover the learning losses for COVID. And it just shocked me, completely shocked me in terms of what has happened to the kids who don't have access to any sort of education. Kids who were supposed to be in grade 5 were not even able to do stuff which is, for grade 2. Now, part of it is also because it's not available, part of it is they don't have motivation, part of it is we don't have the right teachers, and a number of other aspects which are obviously there. But I think we as educators, of course, we take care of our schools, and pretty honestly, a lot of the schools out here have access to pretty good resources for us to take care of our kids. But we also need to understand that a significant part of the population resides in the rural areas. So I'm very encouraged to know that, model schools have been set up. And I agree with you entirely in that the passion and the fire that we see in the smaller towns is just outstanding. When I was in the Ryan schools, we had kids in Bombay, they run schools in places like, Dhambari, which is a very small city in Chhattisgarh, etc. I sensed something similar, right? I mean, kids in the smaller areas they'll do anything to grow. They'll do anything to grow. And I think that's an energy that we need to tap into. So it's interesting. But I think at the same time, we also need to trigger the kids who are in the city area saying, what's stopping you? What's your deal? So that thing. I just want to share a few things about what's, stuff that is going on in my head and which may be relevant for us when we start implementing NEP in the schools. Honestly, I see a challenge in terms of the scale of implementation. The number of schools, the number of people, the number of, states which have to be covered is just humongous. And in this, we first, of course, need to cover the teachers. So they need to understand it, know what is to be done, implement it, assess it, and iterate the entire process. And we also need to get the parents into the process because they need to understand what's happening. Because, like you correctly said, some of the parents are going to get very worried because, hey, my kid has to go to IIT. I hope this is not going to be an impediment, and stuff like that. There are some things that have been spoken about in the NEP which is allowing for a pretty wide-ranging set of learning resources for the schools, for the students, for everything. Okay. One aspect, and this of course does not directly relate to NEP, but something that's been going on in my head is, what do we now do with artificial intelligence, or whatever it's called in its form? If I want an essay, I just get into ChatGPT and get my essay, and IB schools allow that, right? IB schools allow that. Now what do? Are we, training our kids to work with actually language, or are we telling them how to create the right prompts for artificial intelligence? And this is important because, kids by nature, want to take the easy way out, just as adults do. So this is something that we need to figure out. Now, this may or may not directly relate to NEP, etc. But when we are in the process of implementing something as dramatic and revolutionary as an entire new learning process, I think we need to be aware of what technology is presenting in terms of its resources and in terms of the challenges that it presents. I'm a big supporter of mother tongue. I personally, and I have to say this, my mother tongue is Telugu. I'm not really great at it because I never stayed in Andhra. I stayed outside, and for a while, I took pride in my English language capability, etc. But I think unless a child knows his mother tongue, he will grow away from the culture and roots. I think language has a very strong correlation to the culture, and that's a strength. I don't think we should lose that. Okay. Now, some of the other challenges that I see, and you spoke about that, IB has a pretty good system of offering a very wide range of subjects to kids. Now, within the NEP system, every school will have to offer that. Do we have the resources, and what do we do to essentially get there? I mean, this is a fairly simple question. Great thing that we have to do, and this is great for the kids, but how is again the question. Okay. Some of the other things. One question, and which is in terms of the testing organization. It speaks about Parak as well as NTA, and is it likely to create confusion, and is it likely to create situations where it could go against the letter and spirit of NEP? But I'm sure there are ways that we'll figure these things out, but I thought I'll just put it out there. One thing which really took me is that NEP speaks about creating a holistic report card, which is supported by technology. I think fabulous thing. And this is an area where all of us will have to get trained, because technology can offer a lot of insights into how a child is learning and what he or she needs to do to take it forward. So that's important. And so that's that. I think a couple of other things which kind of have been spoken about are, how do we separate the role of, being an operator as well as a policy maker as well as a regulator of the government to, bring in some sort of parity in everything. But all in all, I think NEP was, overdue and something that we had to have sooner rather than later. But as we move on to the next phase, where all of you will now be involved in making sure that this is implemented, it's going to throw up a lot of challenges, and you'll need some hand-holding in all of that. So here's a plug for Ikigai'Ken. We help schools do that, and we're happy to sort of work with you to take you through that journey. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So next I welcome Mrs. Lalita Ramanujan, the founder and director of Alpha to Omega Learning Center. A search for resources to help her underachieving daughter lead to pursue a career determined to learn techniques and provide support. This desire turned her into mission to have a full-fledged school and training programs. Her inner passion was to provide a holistic education to a child who has coping difficulty at school. A belief in very children can achieve better and learn effective coping strategies. Trained facilitating therapists are core in teaching out to children. To achieve, she equipped herself a certified training in educational therapy. With a vision to create awareness about learning difficulties, she has conducted numerous trainings programs for parents, teachers, and other professionals in remedial methodologies across the country and abroad. She has also received awards from Rotary Club, FICCI Ladies organized by Women's Christian College, Baya Foundation, Haltusa Club Chennai, and Humanitarian Award. I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you. I never knew about this organization until Padma called me. My association with Padma goes many years ago when her mother was with me working. She was one of the person who really understood what a learning difficulty in a child could be. We only worked in the beginning from my house. All that we had was my dining table, which was a classroom from 9 to 3, and then things were moved. She was there with us right from the beginning when we did the first conference. How did we do? We did not know about NEP, but she was a teacher. She had vast experience. And I had no experience, only with a very little bit of knowledge from the Hornsby Training Center when I took my daughter to learn how to help a child who could talk, who could listen and come up with very intelligent questions, but not read or write. The first time I had to face the first problem is when this was not in India, outside, when I walked to the school at a meet, I was called up. I saw a little board, 3-year-old drawing, and below it was A, Im, and Pa. So I said, look at this child, what is this child doing? And I walked in, and that is my child. So the teacher called me. She was a very strict, authoritative teacher and believed in Tamil only, because that was in Sri Lanka, and she was in the Tamil medium because we were Tamilians. There was no English medium in the 80s. So the teacher said, this is the most arrogant child, has no discipline, you are a very bad mother. When I asked her, what is this? She said, there is a picture of a man and a woman, so that can be mother or father. I is for both. Come. Always you say Amma and then only you say Appa. So why should I spend writing the whole thing? You can read. So, I didn't know what to say as a young person. I came home and cried. It was a long journey, and we went in. And then I left Sri Lanka, came here because she could talk English, she could talk in Sinhalese, she could talk in Tamil, but could not write in Tamil. She will say, round potu 4-year-old. So I used to only hit. This was my introduction to learning disabilities. And then we came back after this course and we started working with one-to-one children, and that is when I met Padma's mother, Mrs. Pankajam. She was really a godsend, and my daughter took a liking to her. How did we teach? We did spelling rules. We came back and went into the garden and got a pottery man, did camps or did bakery, did sandwiches and cut the sandwiches and taught maths. We did our own way of innovation. And she would say, these are lovable children. Don't try for them. Let us do something. We can teach them in a way that's different, and the children would love it. We did cover science. We did cover everything. I did not know about NEP, but I think the need was there, and we started doing things. Children grew, and in 1996, 2 boys, and in between, the school threw her out. Said, we can't handle her, she's not able to handle. I'm not mentioning the name of the school. The teachers did not know, very nice teachers. One teacher said, I think you need to get her head operated. Everything is good. So I said, and this girl comes home and says, who's the Dhamma you going to operate? So this went on, it was a battle. Then after I took her to, Dr. Hornsby said, this is no place in England. It was very expensive. There were more boys and girls, so go to America. And that's when I equipped myself in the University of Minnesota, and she went to a school. We started a model school here based just like Groves Learning Center. The same thing, where children are allowed to do what they want, but they learn. The important thing is every child can learn. In 1996, when we came back and working with a small group of boys, 4 boys came back, threw the books on my dining table and said, ma'am, tomorrow no school, we are coming here. I said, what? Only for evenings you come, no 1 hour? Why are you coming here whole day? We are going to be here because we got PCs, they asked us to go, they said we are not fit, we can't pass, we can't get 80 marks, so out of the school. This was what then. But now I'm very happy, no school sends them out so easily. They have changed. We have to change, learn. And when we read about the NEP, my husband came and said, there's something hope. He said, I wish we can become parents of those days and have the thing to fight. So we started this in a very small way working. But today we have another big problem. We do train. What my goal is, whenever we have a conference, somebody says, you must get research, must introduce our teachers. I said, no. Teachers can understand. They are the best assessment people. I always ask the teacher, what is this child doing? What is the child cannot do? What is the strength and weakness? They are the first people we have to believe in, and believe in the child. The child is not there to hurt you. The child is suffering and he doesn't know what to do, so he says, I can't. It's not that he doesn't want, he can't. So when we started working, we started training, we don't have large numbers. And I'm very, very happy to say all our children, or 99%, are postgraduates. That is something that is really great for us every year, and we are very proud of it. We have people in different professions, and we do have some scholarships. There are 3 children who regularly send money to help others because they were helped. I think that is the biggest faith that we can get. So learning disability is there in all of us. We all drive, but if I give you, I'm sure you drive, so if I give you a truck and I say drive, come on fast, you will move, because we all have skills and no skills. So parents, now the other biggest stigma we have, I want you all help from everybody here, is we want to take away the stigma saying you are learning disabled. Oh, alpha to omega, I don't want to bring my child, he's something wrong. No, nothing is wrong with him. To convince parents that is there. That is why I'm meeting with other people, pushing myself to say, take away the stigma, let us be a model school. That is one of the mission we want to have, to reach out that any child believe in faith. And in 1997, I was first exposed to Dr. Ruan Truenstein, when she spoke about IE. Mrs. Pankajam was there with me, we met him. We had a wonderful time. He is an Israeli professor who believes any child can learn. It can be a child with Down syndrome, or it can be an accident-prone adult. There are methods to help, and that is what we do. And there's a boy who's a film director, film director. We invite our old students for annual day. So he came and told the parents and the children, hey, when ma'am tells do IE, do that page, do it, because that is what is helping me in organizing my work today. So remember, there are techniques. I only wish in all the training programs that we can give in strategies, metacognitive ways. Somebody said, oh, you bring foreign things. No, I don't believe in it. Mother tongue, our thing is very important. But let us take that and adapt it to us. One father said, I don't want to come to Alpha to Omega because you're teaching foreign things. I said, no, sir. Look at your car. He had come, Chennai, India was going through the change of car faces, from the Ambassador to Fiat to Hondas and Suzuki. So I said, what car is that, sir? He said, Honda. Isn't that imported? So he said, that part. I said, sir, remember, we take it, and I'm sure soon we'll start making Honda cars in our country. And it has happened. Today, you don't have to wait for a car. You have a difficulty in choosing which car. So remember, our children are going into that age. So we have to equip them. There is nothing that you cannot learn. I never say it is a learning disability. It becomes a teaching disability where parents and teachers need methods to help them. And lastly, I just want to share that our children, remember, have the ability. There is immense propensity to grow. All that we have to do is open the doors and help them. A child can have specific, all children must be in the school, but there are some, due to health or epilepsy or on the spectrum, may need extra help. So there is nothing to stigmatize them and say. And with that, I would say, let us go forward with the policy, look at the changes, be prepared. Everything is going to have pluses and minuses. Weigh the pros and take it forward so that all our children are blessed. And let us have a strong faith that every child can achieve better. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So next speaker on stage is Dr. Banu Shankar. She is currently the Governor of Educational at Beyond 8, a learning service provider which provides transformative pathways in rural education to high school learners. She is an educator with diverse experience in India and the Middle East. Besides teaching, she has edited schools, conduct language and communication workshops for companies, capacity building workshops for education, and supported various school startups. A CELTA certified English language teaching research partnership awards was given to Dr. Banu. Dr. Banu Shankar has implemented shared reading strategies in schools and also has been a teacher advisor for the Model United Mission. We welcome you, ma'am.
Good morning. I must confess, this is my first conference after COVID. This is the first time I'm in a conference, in an inter-organization conference. So thank you, Ikigai'Ken, for this. Coming to the topic of NEP 2020, I think Padma put it right when she said the philosophy and the practice. It's an entire universe out there, right? And Dr. Shania, thank you for your insights on how NEP is being implemented in Tamil Nadu, you know, how the kind of children we have today, probably the kind of things that companies are asking for, Zoho and others. So that's also an insight into what we need to do in education. Dr. Srinivas Raghavan, he spoke very nicely about, very interestingly about how he introduced various skill building programs, making entrepreneurs out of learners. And again, we had ma'am from Surana Educational Institute again, who spoke about the IB curriculum, what were the touch points, what are the intersections and so on. Mr. Nethi, thank you so much. He spoke about marginalized community that also NEP speaks about. Yeah, and ma'am, thank you, Dr. Lalit Ramanujan, for speaking about neurotypical and neurodivergent. I think none of us are actually neurotypical. I think all of us have some level of neurodivergence in us. So she's brought that about so beautifully. So this leaves me to think about what is it that we can do as educators. And so I would like to think about the power of one. I'm an educator. I'm a person who is, you know, on a daily basis interacting with learners. Yeah? And there was a recent article that I read in a magazine, the Economic and Political Weekly, that spoke about engineering colleges that also Dr. Sharanya brought about. And it said how research, critical thinking, and all these were being ignored, mainly because the assessments were not tuned to that. But then again, the industry is coming in. The industry is not asking for assessments today. The industry is asking for, do you know Python? There is Zoho which says that we don't want to take anybody who has gone into college. We want to, you know, we want to catch the minds young. And also, you know, as we read, we also realize, and as we deal with children, every successive generation is more intelligent than the previous. Carl Sagan's book on brain actually is so revelatory in that. So this brings us to the question of what can we do? I think as school leaders, I think as educators, one of the things that, you know, all of us are familiar with is on a day-to-day basis the Bloom's taxonomy. We come back to the crux of that, and if you look at it, all our assessments are towards the lower levels of the Bloom's. It's all at the level of remembering, understanding, and application. And the reason for that is that that is the easiest for us. As educators, it's easy for us to mark papers where we have binary answers. It's a right or a wrong. But today we know, as we move on in our roles, there are no binaries. There is no single unidimensional perspective.
I think it's important for us to recognize that even our assessments have to look at this. It's very, very important that we bring in the critical thinking, the creative thinking components that the NEP speaks about. And that is a change that is possible for each one of us. Each one of us can bring about that change in our classrooms. We can bring in that change in our organizations, in our educational institutions, just in the way in which we tweak our assessments. So that's the one thought that I would like to leave with all of us, of what is in our hands. There are a lot of things that are out there in the NEP, things which we may be able to be a part of, things we may not be able to be a part of. But what we can be a part of is in the way in which we encourage children in all these different skills, so that we are embracing the process and not the content. Teachers very often embrace the content. You know, they want to complete this, they want to finish the syllabus, there is an annual plan, there is a lesson plan. But finally, what do we need to do? We need to embrace the process. Are we bringing reflection? Are we looking at critical thinking? Are we getting them to be creative? I think if we do that in our little ways, we will all ensure that we implement the NEP. Thank you all, and thank you for giving me this lovely opportunity, Ikigai'Ken, Padma, Murli, and all of you. Thanks. Thank you, ma'am. Now I'll invite our keynote speaker, Dr. Bhavani Shankar Subramanian, on stage. Okay.
I'll just check. Would you like to do coming up? Would you like to do that? She ready before that. We asked for something. Okay. Yes. So we just give the mics in each of their hand, so that if any of them want to speak, also we'll give it to them.
Very nice to hear from all of you, your views on NEP as well as your experience. And I have a couple of points. Instead of summing it up, I thought that I will throw my little bit of question or thought process to the individuals to get their insight even more. First, let me take Mr. Shanti. You said that project-based learning is what you touched upon, the importance of project-based learning in the NEP and the growth of the child. What should be the nature of the project? Normally, if you say project-based learning, how are the schools adopting or using it at present, and how it has to take a new direction for betterment to realize the need? With that GBT and all these things, that point also came up. So how should you direct this project-based learning thought process in the minds of the educators now, so that those who are not very clear can also take it and disseminate the same thing to the teachers?
Thank you, sir, for the question. I wanted to touch in detail about project-based learning, but I didn't want to take too much of time. Thanks for the question, sir. So basically, when we talk about the projects, time and again, when we were in school and did projects, I remember I worked in Delhi, and we had this concept of holiday homeworks, and we gave the children a month-long project, a topic to cover on. So when the holidays were over, there was some incentive to it, and when the holidays got over, students used to come with, real professional models of the project we gave them. We really wondered that the children, really do it. We then realized, I believe there is a standard shop where, they sell these projects, and it's very, very popular among the student and the parent community. The parents who are working, they don't have the time. The children also want to enjoy their holidays. They're not really keen on doing the project we give them. So they end up buying the project and submitting it in from school and get their grades and go on. So that is not what the project we are looking at, When a project basically is launched, I think, just like your CBSE, ICSE, all the curriculums give you a concept, a syllabus. I think these concepts are, broadly classified into projects, not dictated by the teacher, but it is kind of decided by the student and the teacher together. So when a project is designed or launched, a lot of brainstorming is done into it on what works, what will not work, what are the resources needed, what are the limitations we face. So it's basically presenting case studies to the children, which is connects to the real life problems and problem solving of the projects. So it is, projects give you an opportunity to think and apply. So that's the kind of projects we need to design in collaborating with the students. So students are given the opportunity to think individually, collaborate and contribute to the project. So this kind of creates a sense of achievement, a confidence in them that they created the project, they have gone through, they have seen what pros, cons, nooks, corners, whatever you say they've gone through the limitations and, design ways to overcome those limitations. So that is the kind of projects we're talking about, where through project measurements, math is taught, science is taught, English is taught, and not only as a standalone subject. So that is what we are looking at.
Thank you. The whole dimension of the thought process of the project need revamping, in the sense that we always do the project with known things, but the project has to be from unknown. It should be an unknown arena even for the teachers. If it starts from there, you take up a project what you do not know and involve the children, and you should be, as the teacher, we should be co-worker with the children. Then there is a learning for the self as well as the teachers. So we reduce the learning time, actually speaking. We learn more and we reduce the learning time. So in that way we think that it should be, may not be connected with the curriculum. Sometimes. By and large, as educators, we involve the curriculum and we give within the curriculum, involve mathematics, find algebra in that, trigonometry in that. We don't need to stay focused on that line is what she is suggesting. And thank you. And nice piece as well. Yes, to you, Ms. Neti. And you touched upon one of the critical things, that artificial intelligence. There is RI and AI. That's a real intelligence and artificial intelligence.
And
now the world believes that
also. Natural stupidity also.
Yeah. So now between RI and AI, with the current context of NEP and all these things, what is your view on driving? Would you like to drive RI or AI? Whichever is dominant, how do you justify?
Okay. This is of course a personal thought process out here. I think AI should be used as an assistive mode of learning. Our focus really has to be on RI, because AI has been derived through RI. And in a manner of speaking, if we start focusing too much on AI, then I think RI will automatically drop. And that can be disastrous. That can be disastrous. A lot of research has been done, and in fact it's stated that Bill Gates did not provide technology to his kids for a very, very long time. Okay, and I think that says something, right? I mean, he is the guy who's a progenitor of technology, as it were, across the globe. And the same practice is followed by several tech leaders. There's got to be something in that. Unless we can actually activate all parts of our brain, all faculties of our brain, and be able to interlink whatever there is in that, I don't think we'll be able to develop wholly. So actually, to that extent, being part of the IB curriculum, where it focuses on music and literature and several other aspects of growth, I think that's a fantastic thing. Bottom line really is, I mean, let's see, if you would hold a gun to my head and told me RI or AI, I would say RI, without any second thought on that.
Very nicely presented. Thank you, sir. And why I asked this question is you touched upon the holistic report card.
Yeah.
As per NEP, holistic report card requires first delivery, then you report.
Yes.
First you deliver, then you report. Okay, so the delivery has to be holistically approached. So when we deal with the children in NEP, we talk about skilling in what? Related to work. By and large, we associate ourselves with their career. That is one part of life. That is another part where you have to enjoy. You have to like things. Artistic ability should be enhanced. Physical ability has to be enhanced. And emotional ability has to be enhanced. So many factors are involved. And as educators, as leaders of the organization, how are we focused in providing the best of all the components to the children as they grow? Then the possibility of a holistic report card will be a better deal. And all these things involves the real intelligence, and we should never get afraid of the artificial intelligence. That's only a tool. And our project-based learning, as well as our questioning, way of questioning the children, we should beat ChatGPT or cheat ChatGPT. We must cheat ChatGPT. So ChatGPT till date is not successful 100% in all the things that we ask for, which is a clear indication that AI is little lower than RI. So we need to improve our RI or succumb to AI. So we need to prepare the younger generation in that. While appreciating the role played by AI and data and other things, we have the ability to bring the best from the children. So the holistic development is very important, and that should be focused by all of us in line with the NEP.
Absolutely.
Giving the experience. Thank you for touching these 2 points.
Pleasure.
And Mrs. Lalita, you touched upon the inclusion. And very beautifully you told that we are all inclusive people. Learning ability. Am I having all the learning ability?
No, sir.
No, good. I really appreciate giving this honest feedback. Okay, I too believe that I do have learning abilities, but the area of my learning ability is limited. But by and large, the world sees learning ability in one polarized way. So what is your thought on that? How is it going to be addressed in line with the NEP? And how are we going to guide us in taking us further in terms of what is learning ability and how should we change our perspective about learning ability? Second thing is, am I inclusive in the part of education? What is education by that way?
Yeah, thank you, sir. I just wanted to share certain things. First of all, in our culture, it's more product. Process is not worried. You get the right answer, you get the mark. There are children who work through the steps will be right, the last step would go, so they go. So that is something we have to educate the teachers, the principals, and the parents, because they only want the mark. No red line report, I am happy. That is what we have to say. The child may be intelligent, so that is first. We have the NEP, what we are going to give, make them understand. It's a parent we have to convince. We are changing, we are looking to make a change, but remember, you have to cooperate. We all have to work together. The parent is the base. Then, remember, all the parents today say, oh, we are in a competitive world. Who created it? So, let them understand. I am sure many of you, your parents never knew which class you studied in. You know, so we have to go back, trust the child, teach the parent. Another one is IQ, assessment. Don't go and ask anybody, oh, he's not doing well, get an assessment and come. See, that day the child may be in a bad mood, or his IQ is just the current state. It is not a trait like the color of your eye. I even tell parents, not like your hair you can change, your eye color you cannot. So remember, every child can change. IQ is only one score telling you today what you are. Another thing that we introduced for bringing the change, we brought in the portfolio method of assessment. We had 100 children before in 2017. Today we have only 40. You know what, when we introduced this, we're going through this difficulty, showed the portfolio. என்னம்மா இதெல்லாம் எழுதி டெய்லி படுத்து சொல்றீங்க, these are all very rich people. I want to know the marks. You give me one sheet. I don't have the time to read what my child did, how he is doing, where his strength is, he's good in sports, he's good in yoga, you're saying, but where is the math mark? Where is the, so the math mark father was late in paying the fees. So when I asked the father, why sir you did not pay? Yes sir, marandu pochi. The date, how to calculate. Now he brings out his calculator. I said, see, you can do math, but you want your son to do math. We fight with parents. They don't like us. So no, we have got resource rooms in schools, we'll take. See, it is not a resource room. It is understanding what the child brings in, cooperation of the parents we have to bring in. The other thing we have to, what is the portfolio, and we use a curriculum-based assessment. Where is the child in the beginning of the year in reading? We do initial, and we do where is the writing, it's the same reading at the end. Has he improved at least by 1 year, not by marks? I am not bothered. This is a doctor, top doctor in the city. I am not bothered how he reads our spells in the beginning and the end. Tell me whether he can run my hospital next year. I said, he's only in the 8th, sir, where can he run your hospital? It is a big fight. I tell my teachers, it is not the disability of the children we have to deal with, it is the disability of the parents, their mindset. I'm so happy to read about mindset. The self-efficacy of these children gets battered because of that. So we have to work. It is not only the high ranking. During COVID, when schools stopped taking, I have maids help us. We brought all the children to our online classes. All those children were so good. They were all motivated, like as you said, Sharanya. They said, I want to become an IAS officer. I don't want to become an engineer. I want to do this. I want to join the transport system and become a highman. But my same child who comes in this big Benz car, what do you want? Oh no, I must think about it. After the holiday to Switzerland. So where is this? It is the culture, and I am very happy that this kind of government school children are doing well. And when we talk to our children, oh no, we get accommodations. I don't like accommodations, which all schools give and our children do get, because you're teaching them to live in a false hope. Let them get the true marks. So that is something that we have to bring into the policy when we are saying education. NIOS has wonderful system of the occasional courses. You know what the parents say? We have to, I'm sure, when you also face the problem, so many skills for right from class 1, bakery, and children love it. They love it. Now they're getting used to it, or any other, or vermiculture. Children will bring the worms and they say, oh, this is living like me. Yeah, that's a big learning. You know, children are city schools, you'll be shocked. Where does egg come from? You know what this child told me? 3rd rack, 4th shelf, niggeries. That is where we have gone today. So when I read this policy and everything, I said, somebody asked me, what are you going to do? I said, I'll just say, I'm only a single person. I only pray that all the team of the school and the educational board will take us to where we should really go. Now, culturally, we are a very rich country, sir. Look at the way we built their Tanjavur temple. Did they have computers? Did they have artificial intelligence? Where did they get the rock? How did they do it? Our children are also shocked. But now, everybody talks about other great things. I said, no. I said, this is something, we have it in us. It is our brain that gives us. And that is why I like Ruwan so much, the Israeli professor. He says, nothing can beat it. He will say, he'll take his mobile and he'll say, this is good, but not as good as this. So let us work for that, you know. That is what I would say. It's a parent body we have to help.
Thank you for driving a nice thought process, and let's make an attempt to do it. As she rightly said, that inclusiveness is, we have had several situations where a couple of children who have passed out of engineering nicely, but they are doing some other job because of passion. They left engineering. Some of them left medicine also. Okay? So that's what we need to do. We are pushing them towards certain things in a compulsive mode. but there can be scope for them to do. Okay. So, if you see that, I myself, I became a teacher because of certain teaching when they engage, by default. By default. I wanted to study, so I started taking tuitions and became a teacher by default, even though I got selected in a couple of other areas which has no connection with the teaching. But I couldn't withdraw myself from the other postings that I got after my masters. Okay, so that passion drives us better. Okay, so we are all pushing ourselves towards money, towards certain goals against our wishes. That's where we are not getting included in life. Okay, so while we say that I am standing aside, but we are excluding by ourselves. Others are not excluding, we are excluding ourselves in many areas. So let's give that opportunity to the children. Thank you. And Mrs. Banu, you told about catch them young, Zoho and other people are hiring children after completing 12th or 10th, whatever. Maybe 10th will come later. Now, under this context, what should the school do? You know that this is the direction in which the world is going ahead. HCL is coming with the same plan after Zoho. Saint Gobain is coming. Maybe many more companies will come back like this.
Google now hires high
That's
school
what,
grads.
everybody is coming. Everybody is coming. And tomorrow Saravana Selvaratnam may also come with the same plan. We are talking about Google, Zoho, all these things in one particular direction. Tomorrow Saravana Bhavan will come, Sangeeta will come. Let's not forget that. So what should we do? Keeping those things in mind, what should we do now to our children, even they are in school? So what should be the thought process of teachers, headmasters, management?
Hi, thank you for that question. I think it's close to my heart. I do think that traditional schools, the way in which they exist, may not exist in the next few decades unless we start the work envisioned by NEP 2020 and also all of us, the way in which we see the world moving ahead. As it is, curriculum is set by adults. And adults work in very linear ways. Learning doesn't happen linear ways. I think we need to understand that. So it is important that as much as we talk about what we can do in our classrooms, it's also challenging our traditional thinking. It's constantly challenging our traditional thinking because today we are like a parent, like Mr. Neri spoke about artificial intelligence. He spoke about ChatGPT. As I was driving in here, I heard somebody saying on the radio that today even more powerful than Siri is ChatGPT. Yeah. So when all this is happening, today we need to understand the role of artificial intelligence and that human beings are still the parent. And what we feed to the artificial intelligence is what it's going to churn out. So it's important that we maintain that hierarchy. We also have to be very, very cognizant of what we are doing in the classrooms in terms of challenging everything that happens. So to build new knowledge requires us to constantly relook the way in which we are doing things. And like somebody made this beautiful point, I think Dr. Srinivas Raghavan spoke about, from being global to local. I think that's important. All of us need to start looking at things around us. And how are we going to do things that are going to impact us today rather than talk about living in Seattle or in Australia or so on. So I think that the most important thing that the NEP speaks about is teacher education. That's important, and I would say in a way we are a little challenged there. Honestly speaking, I come from a very traditional background. I come from a place where the teacher was the center of the classroom. I was just sitting and listening, and it was like pour the golden knowledge in, right? But today our children are not like that. So we need to constantly keep upskilling ourselves. I think we have to bring in more conferences like this
with the teachers. We have to be presenting papers. You know, the British Council used to do this. They used to do, small little projects that, I forget the name of that which was done. Okay, but India is a veritable storehouse of things that are happening. The problem is we don't document enough. So we need to start being very rigorous in our process of probably, going through the system of plan, check, implement things, look at what are the results, and then put it into the loop of, how we keep improving our processes. I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, and it's a beautiful session. Ikigai has helped us to think on certain thing, but I'm very happy that today we have not dwelled more into the NEP as discussed in other meetings. Okay, I think it is not like that. No. Yeah. One more point I would like to drive is that based on the point that she has spoken, our schooling, school education system should do within the curriculum, but creating a lot of emphasis on the process and not the content. That's what she drove. And while executing the process involved, today's world, like other career opportunities like Zoho or this or that, they are looking for school children afresh, where they will run on certain areas and make them valuable there. Our idea is to make them critically think, ask questions, be clear with the language, how to be expressive. So emotional aspect of it, I can defer your thought process, but politely. Okay, so all these qualities have to be brought in during the class education within the curriculum delivery. So you are delivering the curriculum or the content of whatever is prescribed within the limit. While doing that, we have to bring in a lot of emphasis on the other aspects of life which plays a crucial role in terms of their employment or higher education. That's what we have to do, and that doesn't need any expense. Your talent alone is enough there. Infrastructure, it is not required. So that part of it, you are master at it. So truly great masters, masters none and mastered by none. Let's remain as masters. Thank you so much for being with us. And any questions from the audience to the panelists?
Thank you for the valuable inputs that you've given us on how this is going to be rolling out as we move into the education field and looking at how children will be incapacitated. Very rightly mentioned that these are the factors that we have to be looking at while we are also looking at how to implement NEP. But do we have a solution in hand is a very big question, isn't it? One thing that came out of this discussion was to look at the process, not the product. And the other thing is to look at how teachers are going to be incapacitated to do this. So you're looking at a very large scale implementation of this whole process. Sadly, one part of this whole thing was not addressed at all is the Montessori way of looking at education. We in the field of Montessori have been here for almost more than 100 years now. And I represent IMTC, Indian Montessori Training Courses, and I'm the director of elementary education training. So in the last few years, I've been looking at how this is going to be rolled out and how Montessori education is so much is in alignment with the whole NEP. Yes. I've studied, I've documented it, and I also approached the Secretary of State to talk about this. And he says, what do you want? I mean, it's all there in place. So what do you want from us? I said, it has to be recognized, it has to be identified that there's a very clear-cut solution for all the points that you have in NEP. It's only about the way of thinking. It's the methodology, it's not content at all. It's not the content. The content is in place. Whatever we have studied is the same thing we are going to teach the children. The same 4 processes in math and all these theorems in science, but it has to be discovered by the child. The child has to own it. It has to become the second nature of the child to know these things. And that's what we do in the Montessori methodology. The child it is a self-discovery approach and a very practical way of manipulating the material and learning it for themselves. So it's like the child is going to relive the process of human evolution, and we, as you said, sir, we are also going to be not training the child to be an entrepreneur or but they are going to find themselves. We are all individuals here and we represent ourselves, isn't it? So this is what is going to be the outcome of an education system where we are going to bring out the best in each person. And this should be the future of education.
That's a beautiful point.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
This is something that I wanted to.
Sorry, because of lack of time, I think we can't go it open now to everybody. We'd love to hear your point of view, but we are very keen to hear.
So I welcome Dr. Bhavani Shankar Subramanian. He is a passionate, highly experienced and acclaimed educationist who has been hugely successful in building institutional excellences. He has worked across organizations engaged in social enterprise buildings, environmental sustainability, academic research, post-secondary and K-12 education. An accomplished academic with research and management qualification, teaching and training certifications and keen leadership capabilities, he brings with him strategic skills to seed, nurture and manage the change continuing in education. Usually committed to building capacity across academic verticals, he currently directs and leads a team of dedicated educators and actively engages in progression of organizational transformation through fast-changing education environments. His personal interest focuses on stakeholder guidance, health and fitness and practices, curricular and instructional design and practices, teaching and professional training, ideation and innovations, inquiry and experiential researches. Welcome you, sir.
Just about good afternoon. And thank you. This has been a wonderful morning. So I was listening to all of you, and then I felt, enappa நான் பேசுறதெல்லாம் இவங்களே பேசுறாங்களே. No, it's pretty difficult to try and group thoughts when all the speakers here spoke very passionately. So right from the start. Let me quickly take a flip. So I had made a presentation, I was just telling Puma, so I need this kind of tech support for me to run this. So looking at it, I said that, okay, let me grab thoughts which emerged during the conversation that we had. And that gave me some quick ideas to construct this particular, I would not say that I'll come down because now I'm talking down to you, so I'll just come here and so talking to the group as a part. So all of us are here learners, and what NEP has said, I would say in letter and spirit, see, you have practiced it, ma'am. And you have practiced it in letter and spirit. So, for somebody to rethink a strategy with a national panel after 34 years of struggling with another policy that emerged as early as 1986, talks a little bit about our own collective energy on shaping education. And I think it's a sad state of affairs that we took 34 years to do this. So I will start off with the number 18, right? So you're on 18. We'll just pause it here and then let you regroup your own thoughts on what is this 18 about. Okay, so it might bring different thoughts to your head, so I would like that you reflect on it. I'll just pause and then migrate from this 18 and then go on to the rest forward with the NAP. We started about evolution. I'll take a flip. I'll say we are at the apex of the evolutionary ladder. This is what Sharanya started this conversation with, saying that our children are more evolved than ever. So we'll park that and say that, hey, we are these wonderful people, so we represent the human species, and then we are at the apex of evolutionary ladder. And we have a very interesting history. The interesting history is that we are the only genus, or in biology, so in less than 300,000 years, we have lost about 9 of our own kind. Okay, so the last that we know about, so the Homo neanderthals, or the Neanderthal man. So in less than 300,000 years, which is but a speck. Banu talked about Carl Sagan, so he puts a calendar for 1 full year, saying that, you know what, the occurrence of humans in this 1 year evolutionary calendar is not even half an hour from midnight. If they start off, so we are so insignificant, and the modern man is something like 3 minutes. 3 minutes to midnight is what our existence is if we take the whole evolution as a, this is a beautiful calendar, you should look at it, and in such a space, we have destroyed 9 of our own kind. Okay, in such a small space. So this talks a lot about who we are collectively, and this is so much for the human power of thought and what we do to ourselves and what we do to the rest. So coming back, so I'm going to quickly look at the problems that emerged with NEP. So when this idea was propounded as early as 2016, several draft documents came out, and by the time that we had the 2020 policy coming out, we said, okay, we have the Grand 21 principles, and we spoke about all of this at length. I don't want to go back to it, but it clearly pointed out that the government looked at the early childhood care and education as the most fundamental problem. And then in order to justify the challenges that the government had in realizing early childhood care and education, they came up with this brilliant idea that, see, the large amount of population that we're talking about is resident in semi-urban and rural pockets, and therefore we just need warm bodies to take care of these children, and these warm bodies will be provided by high school graduates, so 10th or 12th, who may not have the capabilities to take executive decisions for children, to be placed with children. So the Anganwadis said that, okay, we want to support it, you just put these people in place. So we will pause once again and said that, is that idea right? Okay? Now, all of us that are represented here are represented by educational organizations that possibly amount point not 1%, maybe 1 in 10,000. So we are not even a true representation of, say, what the education landscape is. And interestingly, we are the most awful voices that emerge in this space. Are we truly inclusive in this group is another question. Why are we not having representations from the government schools? Why are we not having representation from parent bodies? Why are we not having representation from children bodies when we have this conversation that we feel is pertinent to this entire audience, right? So we will have to once again pause and rethink, and I'm saying that this is how the entire NEP is getting structured in our way to execute it. I'm taking a devil's advocate view because all of you collectively feel the best sides of it. Let me take a very balanced view and say that what we need to do to make these changes. So we understand that in order that the children get the benefit of the best formative education, we need teacher capabilities. We spoke about the NEP going ahead and calling out, hey, 5 years would be the foundational stage. You may want to start at about 3 years, and it is very fair to assume that the child needs to be about 6 years of age when the child enters class 1. And then you have, so we have been debating about it, me and Subbu, we debated largely about a particular government order that emerged on the 13th of January, which talked about the private schools regulation rules, Tamil Nadu 2023. Padmini Ma'am also knows about it, I would say. So this goes ahead and said, just to spite what NEP has said, it clearly said that you may put the child in school at 2 years of age. Okay, by 5 years he can get into class 1. You know what? That is determined by July 31 as the date. Okay, in Assam it could be September, in some other state it could be April, in some other state, in Tamil Nadu it is July 31. And then a right on it that said, you know what, the DEO has the right to relax the entry age to 1.5 years by 6 months. So which means that, so you snatch the child from the cradle and then put the child, because of this wonderful policy which has come as a rule for regulating the private schools. It doesn't talk about government schools. Okay? So we will have to look at the dichotomy that exists in the language that is spoken towards execution. The next thing that was looked upon as a problem was foundation literacy and numeracy, FLN, which we talked about, and it was brought about by Nitish and others also in the conversation. He said that, you know what, by the time that the children reach 5th standard, so their level of competency is not even that of class 2. Okay, so there definitely is a gap. Now take the government data at the far end, now the KVs. So of all the CBSE results that have packed and demonstrated, it says that the KVs have a pass percentage of 90.6% or so in 2022 versus 96.2% for private schools. Therefore, KVs fare better than the private schools. So magically, between class 5 and class 10, where there is at least a 27% gap that is seen in the government schools and the private schools, this is transformed, and suddenly the government schools come on top. Okay? So there are 3 kinds of lies. You know about it, right? Lies, bloody lies, and statistics. Right? So I think this is Winston Churchill, this famous statement, right? So statistics So permit us to see what they want us to see. So we've been a part of multiple number of these national achievement surveys. Year after year after year, we wanted to do this, but then for some reason it got postponed and suddenly it emerged on a day when Tamil Nadu was under water. And on that particular day, we had over 300 people from all over India coming and landing in Tamil Nadu, asking us to conduct the surveys and then said, please, at least bring one student in a class. Let them write this, so we will extrapolate the data. This is reality on ground with respect to statistic that is being provided. I'm sorry, I'm taking this flip side just to tell the other side of the story. So the third thing which we wanted to look at was to look at the gross enrollment ratio. So we just a GER that they speak about. So the document says, we have had debates about it too. 3.3 crore people have been, say, placed in school, and the universalization of education has been achieved. It is documented in NP. So the population registry says that 34.4 crore people are in the age group of school-going years, which means that by say the age of 3 to the age of 18. So by any stretch of imagination, do we say that from kindergarten to 3 will constitute only 3.3 crores? The maths is terribly wrong. So why would two different departments, so one say which talks about education and one which talks about population, would not talk to each other and say, hey, look, you're giving us statistics, I'm giving us statistics, at least let us match the statistics and make it appear that it works good to all. So that has not happened. So gross enrollment ratio is going up. So however, so the NEP came with an observation that over the period of 2010 to 2015, when they took the data, over 2.7 crore children migrated from government schools to private schools. So which clearly indicates that private schools' expectations among the parent body is a lot better. It also said that, you know what, we're spending about 46% of all the money that is spent on education, and the maximum amount of money that is drawn are drawn by the teachers' salaries for government schools. So therefore where the private schools would pay maybe 15,000 rupees to a teacher to enter kindergarten or whatever, the same kindergarten teacher in a government school may get double the salary. And the data goes ahead and says that even Kendriya Vidyalaya data on one side would go ahead and say that 4,700 leave vacancies need to be filled. Okay, on the other side it says that, so all these, the state departments go ahead and say that several schools are functioning with only one teacher. Right? On the other side, it goes ahead and says that, you know what, we might need about 2.5 lakh teachers to take up jobs. Then there are many B.Ed colleges which have enormous number of graduates that pass out every year, but then nobody wants them. So these are the challenges that exist with respect to the problem number 3. The problem number 4, of course, was teacher competencies, which was also taken in. So in order that we train and certify the teachers, the only measure that is taken up, which is legitimate at this point in time, is the B.Ed qualification. It's not about the competencies, it's about the qualifications and the certification. So is there a clinical divide here? The answer once again is yes. So it was beautifully brought about through Bam talked about Zoho and how children are taken for their abilities to build certain skill sets which are necessary, and therefore if I have to come to you, if it is all right for an Anganwadi teacher to not to be qualified and be, say, let us say, good at the most crucial part of education, that would be the early childhood care, how is it fair that the same logic does not apply to senior classes of schools? So this again is it the problem number 4. The problem number 5 that I would want to say is, so the children are not getting the right kind of nutrition, and therefore the government said that the best way to ensure the overall physical development and the nutritional needs is bring them here and we'll give. So is that why the children need to go to school? That's not the reason, but then that's at least one way to entice participation. So if I have to look at, what happened to 18? So what did 18 appeal to you as? Today's date. Anybody has a different answer? Mystical number. Padma says it's a mystical number. Very nice. I like that answer because you're talking about, so there are 3 connects at least, and then ma'am?
18 is one of the requirements. NEP complete.
Oh yeah, 3 years to 18 years, so that appeals to you.
It's a very confusing age. I'm not a child, I'm not an adult.
Very nice. So now our perspective is about 18. We just took a number 18. So it appealed to different people in different ways. Am I communicating with clarity? So now the question that I'm posing to all of you is 18 is the answer. 18 is the answer. What is the question? So this is another thing that you touched upon. I think Srinivas Raghun also touched upon it. So it is our intent. We spoke about, the conceptual emergence and then the purpose of education and what needs to be taught at these times. And I would say, it appealed to me when you started speaking, ma'am, the need for inclusion and diversity, and I said that, it's not about, the absence of intelligence in the child, it is our inability to track that intelligence in the child. So we are stereotyping our intelligence, and personally I would say that pedagogy is the wrong usage. So pedagogy is a practice where adult determines and adult directs the child's learning. Should it continue, and from where the real life experiences and the multisensory approach to education emerges and stems from Montessori methods. So do we feel that is the way forward? And still we are using the term pedagogy. Why not pedagogical practices where the child determines and the child directs and the adult merely facilitates? So that's another thought. And with respect to how NEP is shaping, so NEP is shaping with these dichotomous practices when it comes to teacher education again. So there are promotions, and when questions were pointed to the body, so we were in a couple of meetings and in a public hearing when we pointed this out, so the entire committee members kept quiet. It talked about 10 teachers being equal, and the policies and reservations and promotions emerging, which is putting out competent teachers out of this practice. So NEP kept quiet. Okay, there are several areas where they have, not spoken about the challenges. Leaving all of this aside, it is a wonderful desired document. It talks about will be done, must be done, should be done. So So the how of it is not presented, but the 2 years rollout time. So you have brilliant documents emerging. Sarthak is a beautiful document. The Nipul Bharat is a beautiful document. The Diksha portal is coming up really well. So you have something called Nishtha that is emerging. So you have the SAFL as your assessment gateways. All of these are like brilliant acronyms, and the framework or the desire to move on is very, very evident. I would say the challenges that are very real on ground are not confounding us as private players, because we have demonstrated the energy to understand it and appreciate this energy as a small group. Yes, we will make this change. So the change happens when you put the first step forward. So this change is going to get evident. But I would say collectively, see what we can contribute to the community will have to be the core or the essence of making sense of NEP. And that can happen only if these private-public partnerships move and get bigger and bigger. So I would just look at a couple of these thoughts. Now, I'm very doubtful about, say, how we are moving ahead, and it's a personal, honest and fair estimate. I will leave you with these thoughts. So if I am skeptical about skepticism, would it make me more skeptical or less skeptical? So no, it's a conundrum. No, I can't give a right answer. It's which came first, the egg or the hen. So there are multiple thoughts such as this where we struggle with the right kind of answers. So in our effort to make sense and the direction, so we just say that we wanted to make sense of what NP was about and whether it is going to give us any direction, I think, see, the best way to address this will not be in pockets where we see knowledge and the mistakes, especially the mistakes, have to be shared. So when I make a big goof up, I will have to come on stage and acknowledge that I made this goof up. Guys, you don't make this goof up in your schools. So the best practice is great. But all of us believe that these gaps that we see from the school to colleges is plenty, and we had conversations with the vice chancellors of about 27 universities that came forward and said that, you know what, so marks don't matter to us. So most of the students who score more than 90% in the board examinations fail the first 2 semesters. So it's a clear indication that their expectancies and what we say as marks don't match. So what's the point in saying that the outcomes are measured, these outcomes, and I would not say results. Okay, that's very myopic. I will not even say learning outcomes. They are also myopic. I would go ahead and say behavioral outcomes changes. So if a child who studied with you 10 years down the line is able to apply the learning to real life situations and make sense of it, then we have achieved some kind of sense to or purpose to what we have done. So my takeaways from this, what would be the single biggest learning? What emerged was change readiness. What emerged was skills transference. And what emerged even bigger was, well, these 2 skill sets piggyback on. They piggyback on resilience. I would say, so we need to start working towards change readiness, skills transference, which means that I picked up skill A and I need to get it transferred to skill B or whatever. And most importantly, I need to learn the ability to bounce back every time. So, and all of this, I would say, will emerge only by the act of forgive yourself. Because we do mistakes, say almost every day, and unless I forgive myself, I will not be in a position to look at the world in a more pleasing way. And forgiving yourself be the biggest act of love. I think the self-love could be I think that will promote the kind of joy and happiness and draw purpose to what we do. So thank you so much, sir, for giving me this opportunity. And I would definitely like to understand how this concept of, see, the purposeful education can be embedded in a larger audience. So, how many of us have had this PTA meetings, principals? So when you have a belligerent parent, I come and say that, don't worry, sir, we will take care of the child. How many of us have said that? How many of us have said that? All of us have said that, right? At some time you'll be forced to say that because we want to get rid of the parent. Yeah. So, so to that extent, we have made a disinvestment of the parent's responsibility on raising a child. So if we say that we are stakeholders, I just put through this idea, I think Raghu knows about it, I just threw this idea, so we are all stakeholders, right? So we have a stakeholder partnership and all of us believe that we will service each other. So who is this client we are talking about? Okay, so a stakeholder gives something to the, let us say, the pool of experiences and takes something from the pool of experiences. Does the child give? Yes, the child gives. The parent gives, the teacher gives, the school gives, the management gives, and also receives. But the client is only receiving. So who are we servicing? Society also receives and also gives. See, the client is never a person. The client is only a concept or a vision. And I'm certain that the only thing that we can only service is the vision. So when a conversation happened, who's your client? I said, I don't even know who the client is. Because the client, according to the proper definitions, is the person or somebody who only receives the service. So in the equation of a school, there is no single person who only receives the service. Therefore, there is no client. This client can only be a concept. And I would say, if we are looking at NEP, I think our purpose is NEP is the client. We need to start serving the client, so that's the way forward, and each of us can do it. But the best way to do it is do it together. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We've had a wonderful morning. We've heard so much about it. I just want to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about Ikigai'Ken Foundation. We had a presentation, but I think now it's a little late. So I'll just tell you briefly about what we are into. Seeing all of the features of NEP, when we started our company more than 3 years ago, NEP had barely come out at that time. We had already got our training into process. We had drawn up the list of our teacher training that we wanted to do to build a vision of school. So exactly what you were speaking about, keeping that vision in mind, this is the kind of school that I'll build, and everything that we made subsequently to that, 3 years it's taken in the making, has been towards that vision. And coincidentally, NEP came out with almost the same thing that we were speaking about, which is why NEP is also so close to my heart. Some of the things that we have been speaking about in teacher training, for example, have been also what we spoke about today, project-based learning. We spoke about competency-based education. All of these are covered in our teacher training topics. We have a particular understanding of project-based learning because I had attended a project-based learning workshop in America by the Buck Institute of Education. And a very important aspect which all of us were also speaking about is bringing in the community. So that bringing in of the community is what really will make all that difference. If we have to react, we can't be insulated, isolated, sitting inside our school. We have to make our students also go outside and react. That knowledge has to connect to community in every way, in every day in which they learn. So that is, according to me, very important. Some of our products that we have in Ikigai reflect this. So we have made our own curriculum because we feel that it's not just enough to train teachers, we need to make the curriculum living. So we have actually started off with the early childhood because that's where everything starts. And we have started with an infant program. We start at 8 months. So because that's where the child learns, in the lap of the mother. And that's where the parent is also 100% involved. The parent cannot walk away. The learning is happening right. So apart from this, we have proficiency in English, which we know is multifunctional, but we decided that textbooks are written mostly in English. Unless you have a teacher who's over there who is able to produce whatever the learning is going to happen, she is able to speak in both the languages. How are we going to implement this? So we wrote our own curriculum for proficiency in English because we felt that our students should also know exactly how to go about this. These are some of our products, and this is a little bit about Ikigai'Ken Foundation. I'd like to also invite, we have 2 other companies today with us who are partnering us. I'd like to just invite them. They'll just take 2 minutes of your time, and then we'll go on for lunch. I just ask Brainfeed to come here today, and who can have a few words. Yes, Radhika. Yes. Radhika is my colleague over here today. Yes. I was in a little bit of hurry since we have another program which is coming out, which is the Job Smart, which is exactly what we're speaking about, the skilling. We have this product which is into the skilling and teaching students in higher education as well, how to be job ready. Something which we start in school and continue on to college. Thank you. Yes. Yes, please do.
Hi, very good afternoon. I'm Sachin from Brainfeed magazine. I'm sure some of you would have heard of it, and many of you would have heard of it for the first time today when I came to you and probably gave you the magazines. Yeah. Some of you haven't received the magazines yet, I guess, so I'll request my colleague Ram to hand over the magazines to everybody. If you can just raise your hands if you've not received a bag of Brainfeed magazine, he'll come around and give it to you. Yeah? Thank you so much. Ram, can you do it now? Okay. Okay, fine. So I had a presentation ready, but Dr. Bhavani Shankar started a trend of not showing the presentation, so taking and then Padma following suit to that. I'll also junk the presentation. We are short of time and I think we are hungry too. So I'll keep it really simple. Just to introduce Brainfeed to you. Brainfeed has been working for last 10 years in the field of education. As an edu media company, we started with magazines, which are monthly magazines for the educators. And gradually as we scaled, within a couple of years, we reached 40,000 subscriptions, and there was a demand for student editions also to come. So as we are talking of the things that, the way the generation is changing, the way the kids are changing, that is what Dr. Sharanya was talking about. One of the aspects that we really feel are missing today is the reading habit in the children. And I think that is also because we ourselves are losing the reading habit. It's not just the children. We don't set the example right for them. Another thing that I'd like to put across is that parents send children to school because they are not able to teach them in general. Okay, I'm not saying that parents can't teach. They do have the basic teaching coming into the children, but then they can't have the kind of teaching a school specializes in. So shouldn't, as a school or as a teacher, we also imbibe that habit of reading in the children? As a school, we just stick to textbooks. But do you think textbooks will build a reading habit? Difficult, right? So we had Champs in our time, we had Chandamamas in our time, we had Tinkles in our time and all, right? We used to read them. We read Tintins, we read umpteen number of books. That was the source of entertainment. But now the screen in front, and not just a screen, it's more of videos in front. Yeah, so this habit is going out. So the educators magazines that we have brought in, that probably is to indicate that yes, we also need to read. I'm sure a lot of schools here have a dear time there. Yeah, you will implement dear time. That's lovely, and I think every school should bring that in. We set examples as educators that yes, reading is important. Then we have got student magazines which they pick up and they read. Magazines, not textbooks. Magazines, not gyan. Yeah, magazines which they feel attracted to. Yeah, so this is what BrainFeed is bringing to you, and it would be great if you go through the magazines that we give to you, read them. They are monthly magazines. If you really like them, do subscribe it for your schools. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. I wouldn't take more time of yours. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chitra Koman, and I'm here representing Novak Technology Solutions. We are an IT company, the IT wing of Shriram Group of Companies. And you might be wondering what a tech company is doing in this gathering. First of all, I'd love to thank the Ikigai'Ken Foundation to provide us this opportunity to present to such honored principals and school heads like yourselves here. So the reason I'm here is to basically present, or rather showcase to you a small presentation, but since we are hard pressed on time, I shall omit that as well. And we are a tech company where we specialize in the learning division. When I say learning, of course, it's about education as well. So we're bringing in edtech into corporates. So we are an e-learning company where we use technologies like AR and VR, metaverse in the corporate environment. What am I doing here? I have an experience of 20 years being in the edtech line of business. It's been the last 3 years I've moved into the complete pure tech line. And I understand how technology can benefit the school segment. And Dr. Charanya and a lot of other panelists have been discussing about the NEP's technology involvement, about how language is very critical, how multilingualism is essential. What we are here is to showcase to you a few sample work that we've done using augmented reality and virtual reality, which is highly beneficial for children, not just children, for any age group of people. Because the reception towards augmented reality and virtual reality at this point in time is phenomenal at every level. And we thought children using the mobile phones and technologies, they're quite savvy, way ahead of all of us. And when they experience something like this, we're using immersive technology to give them the kind of knowledge which they don't seek, mostly, stepping out of their comfort zone. What I mean by comfort zone is their cell phones or technological gadgets that they use. So I would like to present to you some samples. After lunch or during your lunch break, I'll be more than happy to present to you all the work that we've done, get an experience of the immersive technology, and get a feeler of it. And we'll be more than happy to connect with you post that as well. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
We'll just invite Mr. Neti now, just to give a few plaques in memoriam of today's occasion. It's very nice. This is just a small memento. We remember your words more than the actual memento. Okay, we'll just read out, first you'll read out Dr. Bhavani Shankar.
We welcome Dr. Bhavani Shankar on stage, please, to receive the momentum. And I welcome Mrs. Lalita Ramanujan. And Dr. R. Srinivas Raghavan to receive the momentum. And Dr. Banu Shankar. And Ms. Shanti Venkat.
I think we are not able to give it to Dr. Sharanya, she has left. So I will just be sending it over to her. Thank you so much, Niti. Okay, just a short vote of thanks to everybody. Thank you very much. It's been a great morning. I think we've learned a lot. We've exchanged a lot of ideas. We've had a lot of fun, a lot of humor. Thanks a lot, everybody. Please join us for lunch. Yeah. Yes. I thank Brainfield and Novak today to be so much part of our. Thank you so much. We have their plaque. You didn't ask. Okay. So sorry, 1 second. I'll just give the plaque. Come. I'd just like to present the plaque to Brainfield as well. So sorry. Okay. I need the picture, the photographer.
So they want us the entire format.
Okay. I'm so sorry, I just forgot that. It is it. He gave it correctly.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry, I just missed it out. Neti sir. He's only given out. You want us to give Neti sir also? Neti sir. I'm not the right person, but today I will be giving it.